This is Derek Becker from Mobile Defenders, and today we are unboxing and giving our thoughts on the new LG G6. First, let's talk about the specs on the phone itself. This new iteration of LG's G series boasts a 1440 by 2880 5.7-inch QHD screen with a pixel density of 561 ppi. This new screen has an unusual but very attractive 18:9 aspect ratio. We've got a few new camera specs this time around, with dual 13 megapixel cameras on the back side. The first camera has a pretty standard 71-degree standard angle lens, while the second camera has a whopping 125-degree wide-angle lens for when you really want to capture everything you are seeing in front of you. On the front of the phone, we'll find a 5-megapixel camera as well. Turning to the inside of the phone, LG packed quite a few upgrades from their previous G series models. Most importantly, a Snapdragon 821 2350 MHz processor, 32 gigabytes of internal storage, which is expandable with a micro SD card up to 2 terabytes. Battery life has received a small but noticeable boost from 2800 mAh in the G5 to the now 3300 mAh. However, they've now introduced wireless charging as well, so you can keep that in mind. The graphics card stays the same this time around with the powerful Adreno 530 GPU. Similar to the G5 again, the G6 has 4 gigabytes of RAM. In the box, we've got the phone right on top. Below that, we'll find a USB to OTG adapter, otherwise known as the on-the-go adapter, in some pretty tough to open packaging. Next, we have a micro USB to USB-C adapter, and LG has included some very high-quality braided cable earbuds here as well. Then, we see the charging cord to wall adapter, and in the model we received for this review, we got the Type-C European plug. Next in the box, we'll find the USB to USB Type-C charging cable and a SIM tray micro SD card tray removal tool. Our overall impression of this phone is much more positive than previous G series phones by LG. They've obviously started to adopt the newer design aspects of the LG V20, and we think that's a step in the right direction. This time around, we got a different form factor that almost resembles that of newer iPhone and Galaxy phones. For the first time, we've got a glass back, which is not only flat compared to some of the other G phones, but having the glass back was necessary to allow for the wireless charging implementation, and it's definitely an upgrade to the aesthetic as well. The cameras here are just as impressive, if not more so than previous iterations. You're able to shoot 4K video at 30 frames per second, or 1080p at 60 frames per second. And the image stabilization during the video is fantastic. You still have the ability to turn on manual settings for both cameras, allowing you to change things like white balance, ISO, focus distance, and a few others. The wide-angle lens is great for group portraits or capturing a large scenic photo. The camera software comes packed with really cool features too. The fingerprint sensor on the back with the home button is extremely responsive and quick to unlock the phone. On the G6, the button itself and the camera is no longer raised out of the back, but instead it's completely flush with the rest of the back glass. This allows for a smaller form factor and less of a damage hazard when dropping the phone. The screen is as responsive as ever, with snappy animations, and the colors are simply mind-blowing. Watching any YouTube video in higher than 1080p on this screen is seriously impressive. Here we take a look at the inside of the phone. First, we look at the back glass with the home button flex cable along the back side. Next, in the body of the phone, we see the new heatsink. Here we have the headphone jack and front camera, and next on the main board, we see both back cameras. Peeling away this thin copper film, we see the new Snapdragon 821 processor. Lastly, we see the wireless charging hardware that is part of the first layer of protection you take off when you take apart the phone. Overall, LG has really stepped up their design with the G6 and taken huge steps forward with things like the wireless charging and the great aspect ratio on the QHD screen. We'll have a full teardown of this phone coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as we did unboxing the new LG G6, and remember, Mobile Defenders is with you every part of the way.